Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 1st, 2018, and we are going to look at us and our borders today. And we start out with present day in Arizona, somewhere along the border.
And it comes all the way down this way, and the Mexican too is right there. So there's 3 areas they could pull in if need be, or just drive up this road. Now we're not sure if this is our guys that have gone and made this. Technically this is still America. The monument on Monument Hill is probably about 10 feet in, so we still got 10 feet on the other side of this non-fence here. But these roads weren't here last time. We did notice they put more of the cross barricades up over at an area down that way. Good news, guys, and it's really great. No child evidence, no evidence of children being trafficked at the base of Monument Hill where that fence drops. They went over there and checked the area. All the trash is still removed, so that's good. No little baby diapers that trigger us this morning so far. We've got 3 more areas to check. But that's what you're going to be dealing with. And just so you know, you look on a map and you go to Lukeville, guys. If you go to Lukeville, you go, just look at it west all the way to Yuma. This is what you got. This is what you got right here. And in some areas, you ain't even got that. Some areas, you don't even have this cross beam. You can just walk right through these posts. Some areas, that's exactly what you're dealing with. Now, if they're bringing up thousands, that means groups of 300 plus are going to be hitting them. Border Patrol is not is not staffed for this at all. We're not sure how many people from the military are coming down to this sector. We hope those 800 Marines are coming down here.
This is Michael Lewis Arthur Meyer, also known as Screwy-Louis, of Veterans on Patrol in Tucson, Arizona. He is not a veteran. We're going to stop him right here because he's about to slide off into one of his favorite monologues. We are not, the purpose of this is not to document Lewis or Veterans on Patrol. We've done that in other series. You can find them on YouTube. You can also find that content in written form as companion articles on halieusmedia.com. Screwy-Louis is everything people have said about him. He's a felon. He's alleged to be an FBI informant. He is a married man and the father of 1 child. He has taken upon himself to recruit volunteers to patrol the borderlands about 70 miles north to south between Nogales, Arizona, which is a major crossing point, and Tucson, where Screwy-Louis alleges that there is a hub for child trafficking. I can't prove or disprove that, although I have investigated him a lot. And I don't have a very favorable opinion of him, except to say this. In the couple of months that I was investigating veterans on patrol and producing written material and videos, as were a bunch of other people actually. There was something in the back of my mind that was nagging me, and it was this: what if a lot of what he's saying is true? Screwy-Louis has certainly styled himself as a crusader. The God he believes in is a fierce and swift protector of innocence. Women and children are the focus of the God he believes in. And as the weeks and months unfold, with this caravan, which I am convinced is going to break up at some point and try and probe all possible access points along our border, Screwy-Louis may very well find himself in a higher degree of conflict than he has experienced thus far, and also could very well end up being a martyr for his own cause if things get heated. So I'd like you to try and disregard his bravado and his ego and just pay attention to what he tells you about the border and what he says, not what he wants you to believe he is.
Got some bad guys down there, camoed up, big packs on their back. They've got it's about 2 miles to get down to that other tunnel, where the other pull-off spot is. So they're on the other side of the interstate. What they did was, we saw them go down to the other side. 2 for sure. Border Patrol just happened to be driving by right at that time, so the agent saw them too. So they're aware that there's some people right over there just waiting for a break so they can just cross and run right through. Nothing gonna stop them. You don't see no wall down there. Yeah. Get your wall. See that little fence? A little non-fence? That's not what mainstream media is showing you. These are all your children and people who are just gonna get dropped off and come flooding up here by the thousands. You able to get anything? Alright, I was just waiting for them to stick their heads up. Good news for those of you that don't do Facebook, Border Patrol got their camera tower back over there. Thank you to everybody for raising hell and bitching and bitching and bitching until they got their camera tower back. Doesn't make no sense why they took that tower from them. As soon as they took that tower, child trafficking gates flooded wide open. From that post up over there, I got film and stuff on the FLIR actually. There's a couple old abandoned structures over there. One nighttime will have lights, the other ones don't have none. You see that? You got cattle that move over there, gators. So if you see if you hear a little bell too, they got cowbells on their necks. Crazy, you'll hear them. Truck just stopped, pulled over right there off the side of the road. Just sitting there. I'm in as close as I can get. You got him, Paul? So what's the game plan? Flood BP with a bunch of asylum seekers to get the bad guys over there across? Be amazed at some of the stuff you see go on down here, guys. I'm going to be able to catch some of this live for you. That'd be fun. There you are. Moving.
Keep an eye on that area after you on
Yeah, I didn't see nothing unload. Unless it was the first trailer and they...
Passenger cab, you do just one or two people.
Yeah. The BP camera, they'll have a view right here. This is one of the pull-off spots. You see the marker over there, that little shrine? Alright, wherever you see the shrines on that side of the road, if you go over, they have the black jugs and stuff, extra water says. Yeah. Well, don't know what those guys' stories are yet. Paul's filming over there. We just stopped because they're up here on our fence line. They got a vehicle parked over there, and we know that they're staging food and water. They got a cooler too? Yeah.
They're going to be here for a while.
Oh, they do got a cooler sitting on that freaking tree. Yeah, can't get the plates. They're pawing and keep them distracted. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. Zoom in, maybe you guys can see the cooler. They got the cooler staged up, hiding down here, right along our fence line. There you go. Red cooler right there in front of the vehicle. This is the drop point where they're staging. You can see and look. Like, we got the trash cleaned on this side, but you can look through and you'll see the trash. Let me flip this back. There we go. Camera's acting up. But you'll see all the trash, the camping. They stage out and camp under these trees. They drop. You can see up over there the trash, bottles, water bottles, black jugs set out. So it could just be a couple tourists, or could be up to no good. They drop someone, or are they waiting on someone to come back down south? Remember, guys, this is a two-way traffic. Those dope mules, if they don't get picked up in a free taxi ride by BP, which a lot of them do, they make their way right back down south, ditch their camo clothing on this side. The only reason why they're ditching all this clothing, they're not going to ditch it if they're going up into our woods. They're ditching the clothing because they've come back. So we do see there's a lot of drop and pickoffs up here. So these guys could be waiting on bad guys that's already in our backyard working their way down south. Hopefully they see that nice blue flag and water sitting up there for them. So vehicle, cooler, supplies out in front of it under the shade tree, parked at a pull-off spot right next to that culvert too.
This is a headphone alert. We're going to enhance the volume so you can hear what the other team members told Lewis.
They took a big plane, $12,000 a piece. Got into the America. Hey,
Flew from Mexico to San Antonio, Texas in a big plane, $12,000 a piece for his family. Him, his wife, and his sister. 36 grand.
This is new. This is real new. This hasn't even been rained on and dropped on. Someone's... Yeah, they got cooler staged in front of that. And what I'm thinking is right now they could be waiting for a pickup, bro. They could be waiting on one of the dope mules to come back here and get picked up.
What if we just walk straight back?
Huh?
What if we just walk straight back? They're sitting here. They're gonna wait for a pickup.
They? Yeah.
GPS mark this spot.
All right.
Put the cam up.
Which one of these? Mine only has. That's good. That's good though. It's good that you got that. No one's gonna believe it unless we get it live, anyways. Quick start. I was filming when you were talking to them, so they can't say that you didn't interview them at this spot.
Tim wants to sit.
19%. 3 triggers. You want to sit?
We're going to sit.
You two want to sit and we'll come back? All right.
Yeah, because that one.
All right. Well, you want us to take you up a little bit, then drop you off where they can't see you?
Yeah. Take us up around the next corner and we'll go up and back.
All right, Paul.
Oh, they're leaving. They're leaving. They're leaving.
Oh, good. They're moving their spot. So we want to have a look at it. Huh?
He said they're going to Beach O'Connor.
Yeah, but why are they sitting there with a cooler out in front of
Dude, they have a cooler out in the front, and there's black jugs and stuff under those trees. I mean, come on, man. We're waiting to pick up that dope mule that's coming back with that money on them to hand over to the big guy.
Tell me that if you're sitting here waiting for them, they're on their way. They're
Did you
close.
see the tat on his eye, the all-seeing eye?
On his towel.
I got all of his tats.
You got all of his tats? Good. All right, let's get up. Let's get you two dropped, and then you guys watch.
We're leaving.
Yeah, they're leaving.
They're leaving.
Up here with the back.
We're gonna sit. We're gonna go because they're leaving. I was gonna sit on because they were sitting there, but they're leaving. I think we scared them.
All right, we did.
Yeah, we fucking.
No rendezvous.
And again, conveniently right across from this culvert, so.
So he paid 12 grand to get
A piece.
12 grand a piece.
36,000 for him, his
And
wife, and
And he said he didn't need a passport. They just got on a plane and came here.
yeah,
And no passport.
Big ass plane.
They got a private plane.
Oh yeah, cool. Well, all that's going to be uploaded for you guys to see that.
Flew right into San
We
Antonio.
probably just talked to some nice little cartel people.
Yeah.
Well, either way, they're looking to pick someone up.
We have a nice vehicle, it has some nice clothes on.
Oh yeah.
No, they weren't staged under there with a cooler just to pull off the side of the road, man.
Hugo Boss shirt.
Alright. So anyways, we have encountered two individuals on the other side of this non-fence staged up.
But they saw us driving up. That's why they stopped. They wanted to know what we were doing.
Nah, they were already parked under there with that cooler out.
That's why they came up to the fence. They said they wanted to know what we were doing.
Want to know if we were Humane Borders, probably. Should have told me we were Humane Borders.
She basically did.
Yeah.
She
Good.
Yeah, we drive around with the blue flag so they know we got water. We don't want anyone to die.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Next, we go to 2014 and an interview between OathKeepers and a guest talking about a few incidents on the border in 2014.
And also Rob Chuck, who's a OathKeeper from Indiana, who's down there as a volunteer helping to guard Rusty's ranch. Rusty, can you tell us what's happening right now on the border?
Well, all right, I'll give you an example. I just talked to what we call down here a tick rider. He's a tick eradication force. He's an animal inspector for the USDA, and they ride the river looking for livestock to cross over to Mexico because there's still hoof and mouth disease and anthrax and fever ticks, and they get over on this side again. So he's trying to make a case on these guys who are using the horses. They take them into Mexico, load them up with dope, and then their horses swim back across. There's nothing that swims like a horse, you know. And so this is one of the things that we're having to deal with. Here on my 20 acres, because it goes down to the middle of the river, there's trails all over the place, and we get kids, we get adults. We've had the cartel is bringing across importing people from even as far as the Mediterranean, and I've talked to some agents, and they picked up some characters from Somalia, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Watusi tribesmen. I mean, anything that you can think of, these agents are having to deal with. And one of them told me, he said, he knows that these are the ones that he's been picking up are Muslim, because as a test, he'll reach out with his left hand to touch them. And if you know about the difference between right hand and left hand, what they draw from him, or if he sticks his foot out to him and they take off, he knows he's dealing with Muslim, you know. And so
how often does that happen?
pretty often, and every one of them that they've been picking up like that. Of course, I stay close to them, and they'll talk to me. They won't talk necessarily to anybody else. These characters will take them in, and they'll disappear. They'll take them somewhere, and even the records disappear. And I asked one of them, I said, "What's the deal on the records?" He said, "That's an order from way up the line up in D.C." They don't want anybody to know how many are coming through.
Now, let me get this straight. So you're talking about, other than Mexicans, you're talking about people from Africa and the Middle East that are being brought in, and the Border Patrol is being told specifically to not keep records on them.
Well, actually, they keep records, but the records disappear out of the mainframe, out of the computer, and the paper records too. And not just the Middle East, but we're talking from through the around to the Mediterranean itself, the Red Sea. And this is what bothers me so much is the fact that if you take a Iranian who stands about 5'7", and you strip him down, and he's standing next to a Mexican who's 5'7", you can't tell the difference between the two of them by coloration. The only way you can find out is to reach out with your left hand for him. And Muslim will take off, the Iranian will take off. The Mexican doesn't know what you're doing. He'll just stand there. He doesn't know what the deal is.
Right, and the reason is that in Middle Eastern countries, the left hand is considered unclean and offensive because that's the hand I'm using to go to the restroom, right?
Sure. Right. Now, at the same time, what we're dealing with what the Border Patrol is dealing with is the fact that I know of 6 instances here within the last 3.5 months or so where lone agents on patrol in the daytime, sometimes at night, have been physically attacked. One of them that I know of, because I talked to his brother-in-law, his one leg was broken, compound fractured. His one arm was broken. They crushed his chest, broke the sternum, and they broke a total of 8 ribs and stomped on him so bad they thought he was dead. They stripped off his uniform, got his backup, his service automatic. They went to the unit. They got the tac vest because they always carry spares. They got the M4, all the ammunition, and then they turned around and they took all the comm equipment because they'd just been issued this new sophisticated comm devices. And this that I know of, this has happened all together about 6 times. Now,
are you talking about cartel? These are cartel coyotes, right?
These are they know that some of them are the cartel that's living on this side, and they go out with gangs and they lay in wait for the Border Patrol. And see, what makes this so bad is the fact that if, as an agent, you walk up on a group, and unless they shoot at you, you're not allowed to pull your service piece out. You have to wait until you're physically attacked. And if you're by yourself, and even if you're a SEAL, 5 guys jump you, they're going to knock you down. They're going to take you.
And these Border Patrol agents are out by themselves very often?
Most of the time they are. In fact, that's the way, that's the directives from Washington. And
they're not allowed to they don't buddy pair at all? They have to go out there entirely alone?
They do, but they're not supposed to. They're supposed to be single in a unit. And I know the guys that do it, and I see it, and I don't, of course, I depend on them so much. I look the other way. But then I figure, too, if they're 2 of them are together, that means they're that much safer,
Absolutely. That's ridiculous. They can't pair up. They're being told not to pair up. So they're being left intentionally vulnerable to being murdered.
Yes. Now,
so they're being left intentionally vulnerable to being murdered.
yes. Now, if you've seen some of the stories where they talk about where the kids are throwing rocks at the Marine units here in the river, they're not throwing rocks. Rocks is something like the size of a baseball. These kids sit up and they take inner tubes out of tractor tires, and they make the biggest slingshots you've ever seen. And they are heaving boulders, if you will, that weigh anywhere from 5 to 15 pounds at the Marine units. And I don't care who you are. You get hit by a 5-pound rock, it's going to knock you down, it's going to do damage.
You say Marine units, you mean Border Patrol or in boats, right?
Yeah, they've got some that come up the river, They've got landing places where they can get in, and they go upstream and they patrol. But these guys are wide open because the boats that they have here for the river are not armored. All they are is Zodiacs. You know, just cheap old Zodiacs with 35 on them, and that is, they hold those real easy.
Let me ask you a question about the cartels. Have you been threatened by the cartels?
To the point that, as it stands right now, I'm number 5 on the list out of Mexico.
How do you know that?
Because the man from Mexico who fled the cartel told me about it. And also because I've had phone calls. Back when my daughters were in college, they called me up and told me to keep my mouth shut because if I didn't, they were going to hurt my daughters. And to prove the point, they gave me a rundown on their class schedule, where they ate, when they went to the rec hall, what they normally wore, who their friends were.
By now, you may have noticed that our show notes are out of order in time. We started out with the present day, and then we went back to 2014 to hear from Rusty, and we thank the OathKeepers for their faithfulness. Next, we're going to travel back almost a decade to 2010, and from here out, everything will be in chronological order, and eventually our show notes will be in chronological order on the notepad. This would have been the second year of the 44th president's term. And if you'll notice, these clips cluster around elections. So every 2 or 4 years, this comes up as a big deal. Certainly this year it has. And then it kind of dies down. So let's go take a look.
However, one of the crops that we grew recently was chili, and we worked through chili contractors, picking contractors, who hired day labor from that would come across from Mexico that had hopefully all the credentials, but that they needed. We dealt strictly with the contractor, not with the people themselves. But the thing of it is you're responsible if there's someone that has not told the truth and that they don't have the legal documentation to be here. And of course that's another story. We don't grow chili anymore, so it was too labor intensive and too big a pain working with the state government on labor and that sort of thing. But what has happened with the influx of people coming over here now, I would do without the labor before you have to put up and deal with what you're dealing with now. Because the element is different, the people are different. More people than not that are coming over here are coming over here for no good purpose.
And how do you know that? What are the signs of that
we have found bales of marijuana out in the middle of the cornfields. At the house at the end of the road where you all are used as a mark,
sure.
Landmark, on the back of the door is written MS-13. And Border Patrolman was in there one day, and his statement, I said, why would they do that? He says, that's their way of telling us we're here and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And this is a mile from the house where my grandchildren are growing up.
This summer, I found 4 backpacks of marijuana on our property. My ranch property borders Interstate 10. And as you go to Lordsburg, you'll see a cranberry sign of a local restaurant in Lordsburg, and that's where I found those backpacks. And there had been camouflage in the grass, but obviously had been not picked up or were going to be picked up. One other incident that has happened in recent years, about 3 years ago, my son was visiting, he's an adult son that lives here in the valley, and noticed a fire or a flame down by my mother's house. She's about 80 years old and was at the time. And we investigated and called the Border Patrol because we knew it was probably illegals walking through, and called the Border Patrol to come out there. We're 20 minutes from Lordsburg, where their station is. No one ever showed up. My son and I actually drove down there, and they had a campfire, and there was one guy still sitting there at the campfire. And we just had a conversation with him, but the next morning in checking tracks, it was a large group. But in the dark, we don't know. And looking back, I think we took a high risk to be approaching them like that in the dark. But we were very upset. My family was that we called the Border Patrol. They did not even respond to our call, and never did show up. And my mother, who's elderly and lives alone, was right there. It was near her house.
But they let the illegals running through his backyard, and he called them and says, "Hey, I got all these illegals running through my backyard," and they weren't concerned about that. All they wanted was the drugs. They wanted the drugs. They brought the helicopter up, loaded the drugs off, and left. They didn't care about the illegals. Then we went the next day riding on our ranch. The illegals had brought a bunch of horses and mules to pack all that stuff and left them on our ranch tied up. And if we hadn't checked them, those horses have been without feed and water until they broke loose or something. So we called the Border Patrol. They didn't want the horses. They could care less about them, so they left it up to us to deal with them. We're broken into. I called the next day. I called the head office in Mooresburg and told them we had a problem here, that they're coming, dropping their drugs off on Highway 9. They're using Highway 9 here as their drop-off point. They were dropping it off and then stealing and taking whatever they could back to the border. And I said, we need some more presence at Border Patrol at this time of month here. And of course their response was, "We can't come out and camp at your house." And I said, "I didn't ask you to do that. I want more presence of Border Patrol at this time of month, because apparently we've got a pattern here." Well, they didn't do anything. And then the next month we were hit again. I raised sheep. I had a ewe that aborted a lamb. I had her in a little small area about like this. Went out there the next morning, she was gone. Well, when I called and told them that we were hit again, that they stole a sheep, the dispatcher kind of laughed. A sheep? And of course I kind of took offense to it. I said, "Well, it's a $500 sheep, and if they continue to do what they're doing, I'll be out of business." But anyway, they sent out one guy, and they sent out a helicopter that time. They found that they couldn't find anything. So we sent our hired hand out, he horseback, and he made the circles, and he found where they butchered that sheep. And they had also broken into our foster son's vehicle, stole clothing and saddle blankets and stuff that they could carry, and what they didn't want, they threw it down. But they did not pursue it and sent one, and then I think our county sheriff's deputy did more on that job than Border Patrol ever did.
At the time, they were maybe 10. I'm kind of giving away how old I am. But when the Border Patrol, we heard them, and they had a load of drugs or were chasing somebody, we were always there. And by the same token, there were times that in the middle of the night, we were responding to a house where there was a family fight going on, and no backup, and I turned around, and there was a Border Patrol agent right behind me helping me out. So we had a really great relationship.
The Border Patrol doubled in size from 99 to 2004 or 5. And then it doubled again from 2004 to 2005. I've heard from people who were arrested from the other side of the fence that the old Border Patrol guys are really relaxed, calm, kind even to them. The new guys, and even sometimes they say Latinos, are not so nice to them often. So I was just curious if you people perceive a difference between these new recruits and the old timers,
and maybe some of the other people who have, but I think they're trying, and it's just a matter of certainly having a huge group of new guys who are out here for the first time, and I help them out every way I can.
In response to that, being a rancher and have stopped or visited or see Border Patrolmen out working and patrolling, and have a perception on some of the new recruits, some of the young guys that are from Michigan or back east, LA area. They're city born and bred young men that have good intention to do a great job. But this is scary. This is out here in open space, and you kind of get that feeling. They're real unfamiliar a lot with the experience, and in that, I think they personally feel a little bit threatened about their own safety, and therefore I would call it maybe timid or could overreact, but I don't have a negative overall feeling about the Border Patrol. I want to support them. I call them, and I want to see them do their job.
What I see is they're green. They need to be educated about the area they're serving in. They're like I think they're too green. They're unfamiliar with their surroundings, and they're thrown into something that maybe they're not prepared for.
Gary Thrasher and his son tend to a horse on their Cochise feedlot.
I'm a veterinarian, large animal veterinarian, do primarily ranch work. It's gotten to the point now where it's unsafe. You can't sell a ranch along the border.
As a member of the Arizona Cattle Growers Association, he helped create the Restore Our Border Security Plan, named after Rob Krentz, the Douglas rancher shot and killed on his own land last year.
That was the thing that turned us to say we've got to do something now.
He explains what makes their plan different from others and why it could also keep you safe.
It's written by people who live on the border that are intimate with the problem. If it was just immigration, it was just people moving back and forth and a lot of traffic, it would be an immigration issue. Now it's a security issue.
The 18-point plan calls for more horse patrols of remote areas, increased military presence, and something called forward operating bases. Thrasher says in remote areas, they need more Border Patrol agents stationed closer to the border.
They're 10, 15 miles back from the border often. If it was your yard, Border Patrol or police was on the opposite side of your yard and say, we're going to catch them after they go through your yard, wouldn't you object?
Thrasher tells me ranchers here feel like they're holding the front line, forced to face smugglers by themselves.
We're talking about security, our security and the nation's security.
Being out on a big ranch is a way of life that we cherish and we don't intend to change.
Yeah, they're trespassing, they're crossing over, and they're illegal.
It's just about making an effort to save lives.
They usually come in there and lay up until it's dark, get rid of the jugs, their backpacks, any unnecessary luggage, and then they take off. Past 2 years have been hell. Dry, hot. And that's when a lot of people died. I like to take pictures of all these dead persons, but I feel they're very useful as far as exposing the killing fields of Brooks County. They're illegal, so they're breaking the law, but I also believe in trying to, save their lives.
Most of the ranchers that I've talked to, they don't want to see the deaths occur. So our effort here with this ranch community is to, reach out and continue to reach out and continue to educate and offer water stations as a preventive measure. We have about 21 stations and about 16 different ranches. We have to take the perspective that if we save one life or 2 lives, that and as long as we know that the water's being used, we can't get frustrated or cynical. What are we doing here?
how's everything?
Doing great, sir.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
This is where I live. I'm a sixth-generation Texan, and I intend to stay. But we cannot sustain this invasion of all these poor, impoverished people from these other countries into the United States of America. These people are not all coming for a job. A lot of them are coming for other reasons. So this is what we're fighting. We're fighting a war here. And we have a lot of like-minded Americans and patriots in Texas and in other states that feel the same way. So we started a group called the Texas Border Volunteers.
Copy that. Yes, sir. Base copy that. Thank you, Chief. And Gumball, Polecat is at 2-1. So I think we've got to
That's where the dirtbags are sitting up top. Right up there. That's where we're gonna go. Roger that.
Some folk down here on the border are so frustrated with the situation, they are taking the law into their own hands.
The cartel scouts keep getting away. Damn it.
Self-appointed vigilante Tim Foley hunts down the drug traffickers using motion-detecting cameras along the trails that run from Mexico to the US. He captured these drug cartel soldiers a few days ago.
So how often would you catch somebody on? I mean, are they going through daily, weekly?
You'll see them every day, sometimes 2, 3. I've got some trails, I've seen 4 different loads within less than 4 hours.
On the border with a gun?
Well, I'm pretty sure most people would call me crazy for doing it, but you have a right, if the government can't protect you, to protect yourself. And that's what we're doing.
The river is the border. You can't obviously build a wall in the middle of the river. You can't build it on the banks either, because the treaty that we have with Mexico. So you get this big, winding, up and down, looping river, and you got a nice, long, straight wall.
We call it a no man's land.
Whose is it? You know, you're south of the border wall. Does that put you in Mexico? You're north of the border. Does that put you in the United States?
No man's land. That means it's uninhabitable. That the land doesn't work for any reason, whether it be business or farming or living there.
We have over 50,000 acres of American soil on the other side of the fence. I have to cross the border wall twice if I go into town. My home is located in no man's land, which means I am on the Mexican side of the fence. My son-in-law has a sense of humor. He tells everyone we live in a gated community. If illegals come across, they can get water. This one is water, that one is sodas. And then the fence is there, and it goes all the way around. No, it's not working. The people just climb over. And there are a lot of people coming into America right now that we don't need. We really don't need them. Mr. Trump is saying we need to build a fence. If this one is not working, another one is not going to be working.
Okay, well here we're going east, and the fence is on the north side, and we have land north side of the fence and south side of the fence. Most of our land is south of the fence.
Pues a nadie le gustó el muro, pero ni modo, ya está hecho.
todos los equipos salen para allá, venimos para acá. ¿Entiendes? Con los tractores de 4, 5, 6, 7, andamos para arriba y para atrás y para adelante, para atrás y para adelante.
See the mud on the fence? That's where they climb over after a rain. If a cow wants to go through a fence, she's going to do it, and the same thing with people. There has to be a better way to do it.
We want protection, and yes, we are conservative, but we would like to see something that works and not just put something up for looks.
Sue.
So you keep this loaded?
Yes.
And you know how to use it?
Yes, I do.
And if push comes to shove, you'd
well,
use it?
Then you shove, yes.
So you've had people fire shots at each other on your ranch?
Yes.
We've had wars on our ranch. One group of gangsters fighting another group of gangsters for control of the drugs.
Not only are Jim and Sue heavily armed, they, like Tim, are also using motion sensor cameras to record the invasion of undesirables.
They're well organised. They've got camouflage, they've got water. These are professionals.
Yes, they're professionals. They work for the Sinaloa Cartel, and their job is to bring drugs into the United States.
They are camo dressed. They're wearing what are called carpet shoes that obscure their tracks and make it difficult to know their numbers from just observation of the ground.
Do you ever fear when Mr. Chilton leaves the house in the morning that he might run into these cartels?
Yes, definitely.
I wish I brought my apple.
So me and Matilda are here on the border in Cochise County in Arizona. Matilda and I are going to go for a little walk and find out how protected we are from those who want to cross our border. Matilda, show them your teeth. I didn't bring my gloves. As you can see, we're coming to the end of the 20-foot fence, and going further, there is virtually no fence. There's virtually no fence. So for those people who think that the border is protected by a fence, virtual or otherwise, it's not. People can simply walk across the border from Mexico into the United States. You're the sheriff of Cochise County.
Yes.
What is the impact of this fence on your county and law enforcement as you see it?
Well, the fence is a deterrent. It's not the fix-all. It's not all the remedy, but it's a measure. It's a symbol to tell people don't come across here. For 33 years working in this county and seeing the lack of will to secure this border, we have a president now that's actually put the will in place for us. When 80-90% of all the drugs in this country that come into our communities is coming through this southern border, having a secure border is so important. When you have 91 people a day dying of opium, heroin overdoses a day.
What do you want to say to President Trump?
Keep up the good work. He had a realistic opinion of what was happening on the Mexican border, and he's done a lot in 6 months that for 30 years none of the other presidents even wanted to talk about it. We've sponsored 3 guys to be citizens. They've done it the right way. We've given them a job for a year, learn English, learn the Constitution. They become citizens. They want to be Americans.
No problem with that.
Absolutely.
You know your horse is rubbing her head on my leg.
He likes you.
Fence is 15 feet high, and as you can see, it ends literally. As we continue to walk along the United States-Mexico border, what you have here is a literal passageway.
We live right on the border, so it's concerning.
What's the scariest situation that you've encountered?
Well, the scariest was probably 10, 15 years ago when someone was in our house.
Was she an illegal?
Oh, yes, yes.
Well, the worst one that someone in my family encountered is my daughter was confronted by
by a runner a few years ago.
When you say runner, you mean a drug runner?
Suspected drug runner.
As you can see, this border fence has been lifted to accommodate the monsoon. Is that what's going on? And I'm standing here with someone who has a ranch and property along the border. As you sit in your house, do you see people coming across your ranch who are illegal?
I have been had people walk in my utility room on me. I had illegal confront me in my utility room. I had them try and break in as they watched my husband drive down the road. We do need the wall in places.
We just persevere. We just keep on with the status quo. We've been trying for 25 years to get somebody to listen. What they need to do is make sure that there are enough agents along this international boundary to protect the citizens north of here.
What's your message to President Trump?
I want him to do what he promised to do, secure the border.
I don't try to tell somebody in Manhattan how to maintain the Empire State Building. And I don't think anybody ought to be telling me how to maintain my personal property.
Look at this place, it's beautiful. We live right here on 30 acres, we're ranching another 500 to 600 acres a little bit further up the road, and we're on the river.
Well, we've been here since 1949. It is our home.
I'd hate to see a big steel wall snaking through here.
We support the wall, but we just don't support the wall here.
But this is where we live, and we should be proud of that. I'm proud of it. And when it comes to Eagle Pass, when it comes to Piro, when it comes to Coahuila, when it comes to Texas, it's about us. As the campaign progressed, Trump would fire people up. Who's going to build the wall? We are. Who's going to pay for it? Mexico. Well, that's contrary to the nature of how we live down here.
God bless Mexico and God bless the United States.
It completely tosses us aside and says, it doesn't matter what you think, the Great White Father is going to take care of you. And to me, that's patronizing, it's insulting. You'd be hard-pressed to build a wall on some of these properties where the landowners are a lot more influential or a lot wealthier. But the federal government may come in, may try and take it.
This isn't for people, it's for in case we see some hogs.
I think we start trying to buy property via the eminent domain statute. And then I could imagine then if a landowner was recalcitrant, even condemning property.
Because they've got, look, candy, toothpaste. So most of it is children's stuff. Look, children's stuff.
Why are we doing this? Just people trying to get across. The only thing they did wrong is this. You know, what barbarians at the gate do we have?
This picture is a picture of a backpacker carrying the marijuana.
Several years ago, we were having illegals come across in bunches, up to 100 and more in a bunch. There was a lot of those guides beat them, rape the girls, take advantage of them. It's a sad situation. We cannot have a open border, but we're less than a quarter mile from the river, and we have floods here. So if you put a fence or a wall between here and the river, it's going to get washed away. The Border Patrol has a bunch of these, and each tower has 2 cameras. I'm completely electronic ignorant, but well, the government has drones that they could patrol. It'd be a lot cheaper than hiring all these extra Border Patrol.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions will be in New Mexico today to speak with Southwest border sheriffs about immigration enforcement. The visit comes as crews break ground on a new section of wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, west of El Paso. The 20-mile project is part of President Trump's push to stop drug trafficking and illegal immigration. He has also directed states to deploy National Guard troops. Manuel Bojorquez is near the wall's construction site in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. Manuel, good morning.
Good morning. That is Mexico just right there. And currently around here, the only thing separating it from the U.S. are these posts, which are designed to stop vehicles, but not necessarily people. That will soon change here outside El Paso as a new wall that looks more like this will go up. Outside El Paso, Texas, stacks of steel posts are being prepped for what will eventually look like this. An 18 to 30-foot wall spanning 20 miles of the U.S. southern border.
It's going to be durable. It's going to be here for a long time.
U.S. Border Patrol Sector Chief Aaron Hall says it will help block one of the country's busiest smuggling routes. Last year, El Paso Border Patrol agents caught more than 25,000 people crossing the border illegally and seized more than 34,000 pounds of marijuana and 140 pounds of cocaine.
It's going to deter all but the most determined illegal entrants from entering the United States here.
Something needs to be done about this troubled border.
And that is our look at ourselves and our borders. As you can see, the playlist never did quite catch up with what we were doing. The full playlist will be in the credits, in the show notes as always, underneath the clip. I think that we've seen and heard from our fellow citizens. Not every solution is right for every geographic area and every demographic. There was one man who lost his golf course and went bankrupt because when they put up the border wall, his business was between the border wall and the Rio Grande in the Rio Grande Valley. That was his life's work, and now it's gone. We heard from ranchers who've been there for a couple of generations. One of them said either 4 or 6 generations, and they have no intention of leaving. Do we not owe the people who are ranching and farming and have businesses between, in the case of Texas, between the Rio Grande and the Ballard Wall, do we not owe them protection and accommodation first before we let other people come into this country who clearly are only here to deal drugs or traffic, various things? Tomorrow we will be looking at the potential medical fallout of people who are coming flooding into this country. By the testimony of all in the clips, and what disease they would bring into this country. There's already been reports of coughing amongst the children, and the children in the caravans falling sick. What sickness they have, we don't know, but I would prefer not to find out tragically. If I can find the information, that will also include what the impact of veterinary disease will have on livestock. We saw a very brief clip from a veterinarian who talked about a wide variety of parasites and diseases that are being brought across the Rio Grande via livestock. So thank you for your patience. I know this was a long one. Believe me, it was a long one for me today as well. Until we see you again, we hope you are blessed. And for me and the shepherd, have a great day.